Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, January 31, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the last video that was posted on the last day of December. So that video highlighted what the month of January would have been like in terms of the rainfall. And if we remember that video that was posted on the 31st day of December, it actually highlighted the fact that Jamaica would be receiving, for the most part, some whites, as we can see right here. And we know the whites represent average rainfall. And I guess you could say that we received average rainfall during the month of January. We had some rainfall here and there, especially on the north coast. So it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. So I guess you could say that it verified. However, as it relates to what is being forecasted for the month of February, it's quite concerning considering that the CFS, that's the climate forecast system, is showing some yellows, and we can see that by the key on the right, the yellows are representative of drier than normal conditions. So little to no rainfall at all. Can see Jamaica embedded in yellows, and not only on the CFS but the CANSIPS is showing something similar across Jamaica with the yellows for the month of February, not to mention the NMME model showing something similar. So it's a bit concerning considering that we know that in Jamaica we usually receive up to 65.4 millimeters of rainfall during the month of February. So to see that the models are forecasting below normal rainfall, so they're basically saying that we're going to be getting less rainfall than what we normally get in the month of February. So less than 65 millimeters of rainfall. Gonna be quite interesting to see exactly what unfolds. But we know these things go, these models are not set in stone, but it's interesting to see what they are forecasting, as we know they're basically like a crystal ball into the future. And we remember we looked at these models during the end of October for the month of November, and remember that it showed some tremendous rainfall, and we did indeed get that rainfall during the month of November. So let's keep a close eye to see exactly what unfolds. We know it's the dry season across Jamaica, so ensure that you are conserving water just in case. On another note, even the CARICOF, that's the Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum, is showing below normal rainfall. Look at Jamaica right here, embedded in those browns. It's not as dark brown as we see areas to the west and north of there. So the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Bahamas seem to possibly be getting in on drier than normal rainfall, or that normal conditions across those areas. And this is all valid for February into March 2024. However, what do the Euro and the GFS models are showing? What are they showing? Let us see what the Euro is showing, and we're gonna be going out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days, just like what the US National Hurricane Center would do. So considering that they're not really working right now, considering that it's not hurricane season, we're still gonna be doing what they normally do. So keep your eye right here where we have the forecast hour. So we're gonna be going out and we're gonna be watching Jamaica right here. So we're going out in time. We still see that the Caribbean is being plagued by numerous cold fronts, all the greens representing the wet weather associated with the cold fronts. And we continue to go to 168 hours, and then look at that, we start to see another strong cold front coming into play. Got all of this rainfall right there into sections of Jamaica. This is by around Tuesday, February 6th. That's Bob Marley's birthday. Getting into some very wet weather, greens, yellows that represent moderate to heavy rainfall. And then when it reaches even east, more east of us, we see more of that heading into sections of Haiti. And then by 168 hours, majority of the weather associated with that system should be out of here, affecting portions of Puerto Rico and the Eastern Dominican Republic. What does the GFS show? Because we know that when we're looking at these models, we have to look for consensus. We have to look for what both of these maps are showing. And we're going to be looking at the GFS now, going out to the next one, John 68 hours. So we see right here that by February 6th, yes, this is 6D on February 6th, that's 1 a.m. We see the greens that represent rainfall, not as robust as what the Euro was showing for that time period. We do see the greens, but it's not showing those darker shades of greens or those yellows that like what we saw in the Euro. And then when it's finally out of there affecting sections of Haiti and Dominican Republic, we don't see those strong yellow colors like what we saw on the Euro. So it's quite interesting to see exactly what's gonna be unfolding. Then by the 168 hour mark, we see it affecting Puerto Rico right there. So there are some similarities in what these models are showing. So we have to keep a close eye on this very strong cold front that's coming. And not only that, but the winds that are going to be kicking up. Let's take a look at the windy website. We can see a lot of yellows and even some gold colors. And look at the direction that they're coming from. They're literally coming in from the west. We're not used to getting such strong westerly winds across Jamaica at all. The Euro is showing that for Tuesday, February 6th. GFS showing something similar. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, the yellows and the gold colors represent anywhere from 25 to 30 knots. So it's gonna be interesting to be getting that Christmas breeze from the west. We usually get it coming in from the north or the northeast. So some interesting times are ahead. And as it relates to the rainfall totals that are expected during the next 168 hours, that's the next 7 days, we do see that for the most part the purples that represent anywhere from 2 inches or more should be affecting those areas across sections of South America. So Colombia, Western Venezuela, Costa Rica, Panama, sections of Haiti, Dominican Republic. That's the Euro though. GFS not so robust with the Haiti and Dominican Republic, but definitely Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Western Venezuela, even sections of the southern United States and the Bahamas getting in on the action as well. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica in terms of those rainfall totals, very interesting to see those greens and yellows that represent up to 20 to even 40 millimeters of rainfall across sections of some southern parishes at that on the Euro. GFS not so robust with the rainfall totals, only up to at least 30 millimeters of rainfall, but we do see them across the same spots, more so western and southern parishes in Jamaica during the next 7 days. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. We'll see if it actually verifies in terms of the rainfall that is expected. Let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have that ridge of high pressure right there to the north of the Eastern Caribbean. We still have that other ridge of high pressure that's been responsible for sending all of those strong easterly winds off of Africa across the main development region. And is this strong easterly wind brought about by that high pressure that has been kicking up a lot of Saharan dust across portions of the main development region, Eastern Caribbean and northeastern South America. And we're thankful that it's not going to be making it as far as Jamaica. We can also see that that cold front that we were talking about a couple days ago is now right there, stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the northeastern Caribbean, sections of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and it has dissipated and now induced a trough into sections of southern Haiti, and it is now situated to the south and east of Jamaica. However, we do see another blue line right there across sections of the Bahamas, Cuba, even into the Cayman Islands right there. That's definitely going to be pushing its way down to bring more in the way of some cooler than average temperatures that have been stalling Most persons haven't been feeling the real effect of the cool front as yet. Maybe some cooler than average mornings, or nights more than anything else, but not during the daytime at all. But definitely tomorrow, we're gonna be feeling those cooler than average temperatures during the day. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can actually see the clouds associated with that cold front stretching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of Puerto Rico. We can also see the clouds associated with those troughs and cold front across sections of the Greater Antilles, not to mention sections of Central America. If we take a look at the close-up of Jamaica before the sun went down, we don't see that we had much taking place, just the usual clouds across sections of some northern parishes, all courtesy of those winds coming in from the north. And we saw that we had some amount of clouds building into sections of some southern parishes as well. Maybe some isolated showers here and there, but nothing too drastic at all. And the latest infrared satellite images don't show much of anything taking place at this time. As relates to the temperatures right now, we can say we have 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 3 a.m. on Thursday, the temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, now it's going to be getting interesting. We're starting to see the blues starting to get into the Jamaica area. All of what we've been receiving so far is more in the way of gray colors that represent average temperatures. So now it's finally going to be setting in. This map from the GFS is showing 18th on Thursday. When we calculate that, that's actually 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we're starting to see some of those blues. Look at the key on the right. Those blues are representative of 1 to 2 to even 3 degrees Celsius below normal. So we're definitely going to be, whipping out the sweaters tomorrow. Some persons might be standing in the sun if there is sunshine available to cool down, especially those persons across western and northern Jamaica. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting in on the cooler than average temperatures. We're in Jamaica. We usually receive some very high temperatures, lots of sweating going on, lots of fans blasting. We're in the month of February now, or we're gonna be heading into the month of February now. So it's expected we usually receive the coolest temperatures during this month, up to at least 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we're gonna be getting anywhere from 27 to 30 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. As it relates to the dry air map, we still see a lot of yellows and oranges across the Caribbean, even surrounding Jamaica. And we can see that by the key on the bottom, all of these represent a lot of dry air. So yellows, the least amount of dry air is represented by the yellows. Then it heads into orange, reds, and whites within those reds. And we do see that majority of the driest air should be across portions of the main development region. And all of that has to do with the Saharan dust. And we can see that the Saharan dust is starting to dwindle. A couple days ago, during our last video, we saw that there was more vigor to it. We saw some darker shades of browns, and sections of northeastern South America, the southern and eastern Caribbean definitely got in on those hazy skies, maybe triggering some persons' asthma or sinusitis issues. And they're still being plagued by it right now, but it's not as robust as it was earlier this week. We do see the browns across the eastern Caribbean, not to mention the southern Caribbean, so sections of Colombia, the ABC Islands, sections of the Windward Islands, sections of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, still getting in on some amount of Saharan dust. Jamaica is right here below Cuba. We're not getting anything at all, and we're indeed grateful for that. As relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that surrounding Jamaica we have more in the way of blues, and that's representative of anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the north for the most part, right there, more so stronger on the, over on the western side of the island, as well as on the eastern side of the island, not so much across the south central and maybe southeastern portion of the island. We can see the winds represented by the greens, anywhere from 10 to 15 knots. And we can see those blues that represent anywhere from 0 to 5 knots. So all of these winds definitely coming in from the north. So whatever comes off of the sea, definitely some more clouds, maybe some foggy weather, some definitely cooler than average conditions, not to mention that relief rainfall that usually accompanies these winds for sections of especially northern Jamaica. And if we take a look at the rainfall forecast for tomorrow, we don't see much in the way of rainfall actually. We only see some blues that represent rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes in Jamaica on both the Euro and the JFS. And this is valid for about 4 p.m. on Thursday. So that's it for the amount of rainfall that's expected. And it makes sense that the accumulated precipitation forecast from the GFS and the Euro are showing that the consensus has majority of the rainfall across eastern Jamaica. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting some kind of rainfall across the island for tomorrow. We're now heading into the month of February. We usually receive up to 65.4 millimeters of rainfall. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get during this, the driest month of the year. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we do see that we have a lot of clouds, even some showers and thunderstorms affecting sections of Suriname, Guyana. Lots of clouds bringing overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras associated with the leftovers of that cold front. Belize, Guatemala getting in on the action, not to mention the Cayman Islands and eastern Cuba as well as Puerto Rico. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can actually make out some of that rainfall that we saw in the clouds across sections of Puerto Rico. Definitely a section of northern Puerto Rico getting in on some of the action. Just some light rain, nothing too drastic. Majority of the eastern or the northeastern Caribbean islands not getting in on much activity at this time at all. But if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we do see a line of showers right there off to the northwest of the island. Nothing across Barbados at this time. Nothing across majority of the Windward Islands at this time. Maybe some isolated showers affecting sections of Martinique, but that's basically it. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we don't see much taking place across majority of the Caribbean. All we see is the rainfall that we just mentioned across sections of Puerto Rico, and that rainfall across sections of Guyana and Suriname. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we do see the below average temperatures that's in store for sections of southern Florida, the Bahamas. Look at those greens that represent below 5 degrees Celsius below normal. It's very interesting that those areas are going to be getting in on those cooler than average temperatures. Section of Central America getting in on the action, the Cayman Islands, Cuba. But the above normal temperatures should be affecting sections of the eastern Caribbean right there. So anywhere from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Leeward and Windward Islands, not to mention sections of Venezuela, especially where we see those words. Definitely some above normal temperature is going to be experienced there. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for the Caribbean, the eastern and southern Caribbean should be getting in on the most in terms of the Saharan dust, as we can see by the browns, but it's not as robust as we saw earlier this week. This map is showing 2 p.m. on Thursday, and earlier this week we actually saw those darker shades of browns that represent the vigorous plume of dust, and we know those plumes usually trigger some asthma or sinusitis issues in some people, not to mention the hazy sky. So the skies weren't looking as blue as they're used to across the eastern Caribbean at all, but it should be clearing out as the week progresses. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that majority of the Caribbean should still be getting anywhere from 0.5 meter to 1 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds are not going to be that strong, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 knots across the eastern Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, while anywhere from 15 knots to 20 knots across sections of the greater Antilles coming in from the north. As it relates to the rainfall forecast now, we don't see much in the way of rainfall expected for Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Mexico, or Belize, but where we see the actual rainfall is across sections of northwestern Honduras, Costa Rica, sections of northwestern Panama, Colombia, southern and western Venezuela, sections of Guyana. We can also see some rainfall in store for sections of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, as well as sections of the Eastern Caribbean. Maybe some sprinkles across sections of Dominica at most. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.